Good afternoon or evening or whenever you're watching this. My name is Jenelle Riley. I'm an editor of Variety, and I'm so thrilled to be here today for SAG-AFTRA's Conversations at Home with Jamie Dornan. This is an actor who has shown his range in such films as A Private War, 50 Shades of Grey, and of course on the BAFTA-nominated series The Fall. Please welcome Jamie Dornan. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Jenelle. Nice to be here.
Thank you for finding a perfect kind of nondescript background, too, to do this on.
You know, it's funny. This is, I'm not going to start showing you around because it's an absolute mess in here, but I'm turning this room into my office.
Oh.
My office was somewhere else, but I was sharing a wall with my wife, who's a musician. So if we were both trying to work at the same time ever, as beautiful as the music she was creating is in the next room, it's quite hard to concentrate on reading scripts or learning lines, whatever you're doing. So I've moved my office. So it's I bought paint this week, so it'll be slightly more descriptive.
It really wasn't a criticism. It really is like the perfect background for this. But we'll come back in a year, and I want to see the before and after. You've done this before, where this is primarily an audience of SAG members who watch us. So I always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card?
Yeah, I almost don't remember. It's so long ago. But I mean, I must have got it for Marie Antoinette, which was my first. You know, I'd never done a commercial before that. I'd never done. I don't think I had. It's certainly nothing that warranted needing a SAG card. So I had this very odd situation where my first ever audition, first ever job in the industry was with Sofia Coppola. I mean, she'd literally just won maybe 2 Academy Awards for Lost in Translation, and it was the first job host. And it also happened quite quickly, and I was like, wow, this is an easy way to make a life. You know, I just thought like that was it. I just thought all jobs would be that easy to get, considering it was the first one I'd ever tried to get. You know, and then I sort of essentially went about 8 years unemployed afterwards, and realized I just got very lucky early on. You know, so I definitely would have got my SAG card for that. But I'd say by the time I did my next job. But luckily, I was sort of modeling in the background. I was able to always do that and pay the bills or whatever. But I probably had to, when I did my next job, I did some work in the UK where I obviously didn't need a SAG card in between and some stuff here. But next time I needed my SAG card, they probably had to be like, oh, are you still in our system? It's been so long since you've worked in the States. Yeah, God, that was, 13 more. God, what year is it now?
Has it really been that long?
16 years ago. I think it was 16 years ago.
Wow. And that was your first film audition ever?
Yeah, it's 15 years ago. 15 years ago. Yeah, it was. It was my first ever. I just got an agent the week before, and a UK agent. Sorry, I just got a UK agent. And then they were like, listen, Sofia Coppola is, directing this thing about Marie Antoinette. It's going to be like a biopic, but with a big difference, and sent me the script and the part. And I was like, wow, what cool. What a cool thing. Like everybody else, I was such a big fan of hers.
Yeah.
And particularly at that moment, there was just so much hype about Sofia, so I was like, okay. So I met the casting director, Karen Lindsay Stewart, in London, and read and went quite well, and then went to Paris the next day. They were like, can you come to Paris the next day and read for it there? And I did that. And then met Sofia and Ross Katz, who was producer, that night in the Ritz, at the Hemingway bar at the Ritz. It was so fancy. The Hemingway bar at the Ritz in Paris. And that was it. Like, I had a drink with them and then got the job. It was mad. Never happens like that.
Crazy first job. I mean, not first job, but in this industry, what a nice entrance.
It was incredible. Yeah.
And I want to go all the way to the scrappy indie side with Endings Beginnings. I'm a big fan of the filmmaker Drake Dreamus. He makes these really intimate relationship stories, movies like Crazy. Were you familiar with his work? Is that what attracted you to the project?
Yeah, I was. I had seen Like Crazy and I'd seen Breathe In, and being very much like he was very much on my radar, I guess, at that time. Like after certainly those two movies, particularly, and I remember just thinking that he managed to capture something that you don't see that often, and sort of sense of realism in the performances. And I was like, Jesus, like this guy's he's really got something. And his name had come up a wee bit because we're both at UTA, and I think that sort of happens, you know, like the directors at the agency you're with, their names come up more than directors who aren't at the same, you know, agency. And I'd heard good things about him, and then we worked together. We did this little short for Hugo Boss like a couple of years ago.
Great.
And he directed that, and we spent sort of 3 or 4 days together in Azerbaijan, like the week before Christmas. It was very crazy time because I was in the middle of shooting a Private War, which was in Jordan, and I flew back from Jordan to like the UK for one night, saw my family I hadn't seen in like 4 weeks or something, and then went to Azerbaijan, did this commercial, and then came home like the night before Christmas or something. It was mad. Not ideal under any circumstances, but Drake and I, you know, often those commercial things can be that very commercial, you know, and you know, often don't have a lot of heart in them. But I think we made something kind of, you know, really kind of beautiful and cool, and just loved working together. And so that was up. We were just mates then. We were sort of mates, and then he was like, "Listen, I'm writing this other thing, and I'd love you to read it when it's done." And so I knew about it before we actually got to the stage of sort of talking about it in reality, you know.
I never thought about this before, but like commercials are kind of a good test run if you want to know what it's like to work with a director. Maybe, you know, maybe everyone should do that first.
Yeah, I mean, most directors make commercials too, you know, particularly a lot of indie filmmakers who are working with very small budgets often with their movie work. And a lot of those, you know, I've met so many of those guys who, you know, you're like, wow, they haven't made a movie for a while, and then you look into it, and they've been making like, you know, BMW commercials, and
Yep.
you know, getting paid to do these like mad big jobs, you know. I find that line really interesting between, you know, a lot of huge directors like Ridley Scott and everything started in commercials, but then having done a few commercials when I used to model, there's so many of those men and women who are making commercials that all they want to do is make a movie. They never get to, you know. They really don't. And I'm talking, they're making, you know, huge commercials with like million, like 10 million budget commercials, but they're not getting a chance to make movies. You know, it's so hard.
One of my favorite commercials ever was actually directed by Ang Lee, back when they were doing the BMW short films. I mean, I don't know if it's a short film, but it's also a commercial.
Right. Yeah. I mean, God, the idea of Ang Lee, like making commercial. I mean, he's had such a unique and diverse career making movies as well. Actually, nothing would surprise me of Ang Lee. Like, I feel like he could just turn his hand to anything and make it work. You know, he's just like one of those guys, isn't he?
I think he'd even won the Oscar at this point. And it was like the first thing he did. Yeah, because there's a little homage to Hulk, which was his next movie in the commercial / film. So yeah, so he at that point he was Ang Lee.
Well, good for sure.
I'm curious, what sort of draws you into a project? Is it, you know, always the script, or is it sometimes wanting to work with someone like Drake, or is it just you got to do it by project?
Yeah, I think the latter really. Like it sort of depends. I mean, sometimes, you know, if Martin Scorsese sends you a script, you're not, it's an offer, you're not reading the script. Obviously, you'll read the script, but like it's a yes, you know. Certainly for someone like me, you know, there's a whole host of directors. I think that like you hear the name and you're like, well, you know, not that I've worked with Scorsese, or he sent me anything that I just said yesterday. But I did hear someone told me he really liked The Fall once. Which I was,
oh, really? That seems like it would
yeah.
be his kind of show. Yeah.
Yeah, my mate was doing a movie with him, and he said he was talking about The Fall the other day. Oh, cool. But and sometimes, you know, it has to be led by the script, really, you know. But sometimes it's you know, I've had situations where I haven't ended up doing something where it's a script that I'm really respond to, and then, you know, you'll meet a director over Skype or Zoom or whatever, or you get to meet in the flesh, and sometimes that doesn't work. There's no chemistry there, and you think, oh, you know, this shouldn't go any further. I can see why this won't work, and it's rare, but that can happen, you know. And then sometimes it works the other way, where, you know, you have issues with the script, but you really trust the filmmaker, or you know, the collective of filmmakers and people they have involved to try to make it the best it can be. And, you know, so many different reasons why you end up standing on set on day one, you know. But I mean, usually it tends to be the script.
Well, with something like Endings, Beginnings, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but it didn't really have a script, did it? It was like an outline.
Yeah, exactly. It had like a sort of 65, 70 page, skeleton outline script that was still very solid. And it's like, you got a pretty good sense of who these people are and what they're going through, and the complexities of the relationships between the three of them. But then there's a huge onus on you as an actor to elevate that beyond the page and you know, and for the most part improvise it into something that is totally unbelievable, and makes what Drake and Jenelle had written, let that kind of become something even more developed, I guess, you know. And that's pressure, and that's tough, and it's something I haven't done a lot of, weirdly, before. The only time I'd done it before was with Sofia Coppola and Marie Antoinette. We had this big sort of party scene, with dinner party scene, and it's like me and Tom. Nobody really remembers. Tom Hardy did one day, a day. Tom Hardy did 1.5 days on that job, and he, you know, I probably did 2 weeks worth or something. But Tom was in for a day and a half and had to share my trailer. I remember, like, they're going like, and Tom Hardy had done some good work then, but he wasn't the movie star that he is now, you know, obviously. And
he shared your trailer while you were in it?
Yeah, I had like quite a big, like, pretty jazzy trailer, particularly for my first job. And they're like, listen, Tom's going to have to come in and do you mind? He's sort of put up a sheet, and he's going to, we shared a trailer for the couple of days that he worked on it, which is mad. But he, for that, there was a scene where we all sat around, Kirsten and myself and Rose Byrne and Tom Hardy, and there's loads of us, and we improved, but it was very much going to be kind of in the background, and there was going to be a song over it, and wasn't huge focus on it. And then you with Drake's movie of Endings, Beginnings, it's kind of you know, 90 minutes of improvisation. I mean, look, there's times he very much set us on our way, but there'd be times where he would be like, forget everything that's in the skeleton script. I don't want anything. You see, when you said that, just go with that. Elaborate on that. Don't say that. That's not working. Just make more out of that. And you're like, oh my God, like, you know. And the first couple of days, honestly, Jenelle, like, it was so scary. And I was just going, I can't do this. I can't do it. Don't have it in me. Because I also started a week late. I was shooting something else. I started a week late. So Sebastian and Shailene had already done this week. All the stuff in Big Sur, that whole road, they'd done all of that. And there's some pretty heavy emotional and physical stuff going on there. So they were all like already, you know, the three of them.
And then you come in.
I come in. I was like, hey guys, let's totally new energy. Let's try to work with this. And actually, you know, I think Shay and I had a very different thing to Sebastian and her just off the bat. Like our chemistry was different, so they just felt like very different relationships, just in what we brought to it naturally. And you do bring a lot of your own natural self when you're improvising, I think. But I was certainly never, you know, I always did feel like I was this other guy, obviously, but more of Jamie leaks in than it would in any other gig.
I'm curious about that. Actually, first I want someone to make the movie about you and Tom Hardy sharing a trailer. I want to see that. Like, did he talk to you, or was the sheet, you know?
Maybe Tom Hardy should. You know what? I'm gonna call him and try to. That'd be a pretty funny little sort of vignette, like short thing, wouldn't it? If we sort of recreated that. I haven't seen Tom in years, but I wonder does he remember? Yeah, isn't that mad? It's so mad.
Just shows what a great casting director Sofia Coppola is and has. Yeah. For those who haven't seen Endings Beginnings, you can catch it out now. It's out on demand. But Shailene Woodley's character is sort of torn between your character Jack, who is very kind and reliable, and Sebastian Stan's Frank, who is sort of immature, I think is like the polite way to put it. I'm curious, when Drake first brought you this project, was it always going to be Jack for you, or was there ever talk of you playing Frank?
He sort of said to me, I remember the call very well because he sent it, and I was like, he sent it to me and said, listen, see who you respond more to, because I'm open to the idea of you being either. And I guess he hadn't spoken to Sebastian at this stage. And it was a different actress at this stage too. Yeah, so I read it and I just responded more to Jack, like I have to say, you know, and I called Drake and was just like, dude, I was like, dude, I want to do it, and I prefer to be Jack if you're willing. And he said, okay, interesting, yeah, okay, let's see how that sits or whatever. And then he was definitely meeting other guys, you know. I think he was at that stage meeting guys just generally to get a good sense of them, and you guys he didn't know or whatever, and he met Sebastian in that way. And I mean, could it have worked the other way around? Probably. It's funny to think about it now, you know, but I just thought Sebastian had such a strong hold over what he did with Frank, you know. Yeah, I mean, I just was drawn to Jack, I have to say. But yeah, and then we had an actress pull out like 10 days before day one. Wow. And kind of wasn't her fault. Like, also, I'm not going to name her. B, I've seen her since, and like she was sort of distraught about it, and it was a conflicting scheduling thing. It really was out of her hands. And you know, having seen the movie, like, it makes it even more crazy to me to get your head. I think Shay is just like phenomenal in it, and I think she's just such a joy to watch her work, you know. And then when you consider she came onto that 9 days before principal photography, I mean, it's insane.
That's amazing. No, you everybody in this movie is so wonderful. I'm curious, because you've played your share of troubled characters, and I'm sure after, you know, so many seasons on The Fall as a serial killer, do you think maybe you were drawn to Jack? Did you ever worry about getting typecast as like the bad or the dark brooding guy?
Potentially, you know, I think I maybe even said this to you before, Jenelle, but like I feel like it's such a, you know, gift in this industry, and I'm so fortunate to be in the position I am with it, where I have a bit of choice over what I do, and I don't take that lightly. Like I understand how lucky I am to be in that position, but given that position, I want to make the most of it, and I feel like I try to have a balance in my career, you know, and I've definitely said this before to lots of people, that I just wouldn't be satisfied, you know, being like when there's like action guys who just does action movie after action movie, or, you know, it just wouldn't satisfy me. I wouldn't, and I'm not discrediting those guys, but it's just not what I want for me, and I don't think I'd feel fulfilled if I did that. So I feel like I've played a few dark characters, and you know, occasionally, you know, I've got a couple of things that I've done more recently that are maybe slightly nicer, more empathetic, and certainly less psychopathic. And you know, it's again, it's just that balance, you know. And you know, I think I myself, I'm not a particularly dark person, you know. We all have our moments, but I'm more drawn to lighter stuff usually, you know. And I mean, I just did this big comedy with Kristen Wiig and Annie Mumlow in the summer, and you know, that I was so much more comfortable in that world than I have been in any other world I've spent time in at work, you know. So, but it was nice with Jack to play someone who's pretty morally good, you know.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think it's trying to balance it all out. So not even balance out like good guys and bad guys or whatever it is, but just a range of different types of people, you know, and show that.
I actually think that there's such a challenge in making a kind and decent character compelling, because we tend to kind of like look over there when someone's doing like a fun sort of angsty villain. But
Yeah.
Jack is so interesting and complex without, you know, just being, I don't want to say normal because I don't know what normal is, but you know, just being a good guy. Is it a challenge to make that character interesting?
Yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, I guess it is. And you know, if it doesn't feel like a challenge, it's not work, you know. And you know, you should be shitting yourself every day at work, I think, as an actor. You know, I'm not saying that you don't find a sort of certain level of comfort once you're into it, but like, I think every time you go into a scene, particularly if it's improvised, you've got to feel like there's a big challenge ahead of you here. And you've got to find your stride, and you're at the bottom of the mountain. You've got to get to the top, but you've got to do it without showing that you're trying so hard to get there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think like it's such a balance as an actor. I think trying to find that sort of that place of like realism without it looking like you're, you know, very desperately trying to create realism. You know, and it's even more interesting if it's improvised, because you know the thoughts are coming to you, and then you're trying to transpose them from my own thoughts to something that would work for Jack and make sense for Jack, and work with the backstory that you've created for Jack, and work with what Shay has just said as Daphne to Jack. There's a lot happening in your head in these moments, you know. But then it becomes very freeing, and I found myself just finding the goodness in him as we went on, and I sort of found myself wanting him to be good more so than I did at the beginning. As we went on, I just found him wanting to try to do the right thing, which wasn't totally my plan at the beginning. So it was a kind of crazy journey to go on with him.
It's also interesting because Sebastian plays your best friend, but you guys don't really we don't see you interact much. Or yeah, is that sort of disappointing, or was there more you shot that they just didn't use?
No, there's not more we shot. No, it's kind of strange, you know. It's like one of those things. It'll be the big giveaway, you know. To like, I remember after we did the first series of The Fall. Well, I know you've seen it, but like Gillian Anderson's character and my character, they never meet. But there's like a moment they have in like the hallway of the police station, and there's like a look. But besides from that, we have no screen time apart. You know, we have a big phone call together at the end, but we never meet. But people used to come up and be like, "Oh my God, what's Gillian Anderson like to work with? That must have been amazing." I'm like, "Oh, you haven't seen The Fall." Like, you know, it's such a great way of indicating or finding out that anyone actually watched it. So I hardly got to know Gillian that first series. Luckily in the second and third I did. But it was similar with Sebastian. You know, we had one night where we had that big party scene, and I remember they kind of like, often with this you didn't know where the camera was. It was kind of crazy. It was kind of like roaming around, and then you'd sort of feel it over here, but you'd just be trying to maintain character the whole time. And we'd sort of been told that they'd be trying to find some moments between Frank and Jack, between Sebastian and I. And luckily we did the sort of really the kind of only moment apart from when we play that game. I remember what that sort of, not, it's not a card game, but we play that game.
Oh, Mafia? Is it Mafia?
Mafia, yeah. So I haven't played that before. You know, we're in that moment together, but the only sort of physical moment we had, luckily the camera just caught us at a time that, like, I very rarely say anything funny, but I just said something quite funny, and we both, I obviously laughed at my own humor and he laughed at it. So we both ended up like laughing in quite a big way, and then I think we had a hug or something, you know, it kind of all worked, you know, but that is kind of the only moment you see us. And they're not very alike, you know, but I have a lot of my friends aren't very like me, so you know, it's amazing who you sort of end up tight with or whatever. But I think a lot of people will watch it thinking, how are they friends, you know?
Yeah, they're very different. It must be interesting when you're shooting in that style and you don't know what the camera's capturing and you're improvising. What's it like when you see the final product? Are you surprised, or did you know sort of what it would look like?
Yeah, listen, it's the first time I've ever sat down to a screening. I watched it in at TIFF at Toronto. It was the first time I watched it, and I was with an audience and with Shay and Sebastian, and it's the first time I've ever sat down to watch anything I've been in and have no idea what's about to happen. Like no idea what the sort of beginning, middle, and then end is going to be, because we really did, do a lot of very differing takes, you know, and often scenes went a very different direction to from take 1 to take 4 or whatever. So it was sort of interesting to see how they were going to, I mean, I don't know how they did it in the edit, you know, it must have, I mean, they could have made so many different films from it, you know. But yeah, it was a bit of a trip sitting there and not having a clue what was going to happen, you know. It was crazy.
Like, the only thing that sounds scarier than that is improvising a movie.
Yes, well, I mean, listen, it's made me want to do it more, you know.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a big challenge, and that's what life's about, isn't it? And it's you know, and it flexes different muscles that you don't use maybe enough at work, and it brings with it an energy that sometimes is harder to create with a script, you know. So it's definitely opened me up to it. You know, I'd love to do it more if you're doing it with the right people.
Yeah.
You know, I pretty much only did it with Shailene Woodley. You know, like all my stuff's with her, and she was just unbelievable at it. Like you're just being given so much. So I just feel like I got very lucky with, you know, the people I did it with Drake at the helm and with Shailene and Sebastian.
And I'm guessing, just sort of knowing Drake's other films, that this was probably on a pretty tight shooting schedule.
Yep. It was. I mean, that's just the reality of it, you know. You know, nobody's getting paid, and we're all shooting nights, and we're all, you know, you're not getting endless takes, and you're, you know, that's that end of independent film. But you're getting to have this immersive, incredible experience. And I've done a lot of independent film, and it's where I feel most comfortable. I've only done 1 or 2 at that end of it, but it's even more like a family, you know. And that it's my whole thing about any independent film, that sort of 5 to 15 million range, is everyone just has, everyone, I feel like everyone works harder in a way, because you just have to get the dates finished. You've no choice. It's not like we'll come back and shoot this tomorrow, guys, don't worry, we're losing the light. No, you have to get it. It's not like a studio picture where you can go like, oh, whatever, we'll put it on the schedule for next week. That's not a thing. So I love it. Again, balance. I like to, maybe 1 studio picture last year, 2 independent. You know, I think it's, that balance is crucial, I think, for an actor as well. Again, luckily enough to have the choice over that, but I do think that's a cool thing. It unites people. That thing of like, guys, we have 7 pages to do today, and we can't come back tomorrow. That unifies people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
curious because they're sort of known for improvising. Did you do much improvising in the Kristen Wiig, Andy Mumolo film?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
It's
Very different
different.
kind, though.
It's different if to improvise comedy. I feel like, because, well, for me anyway, if someone lets me loose, my initial place that I go to is stupidity, to say something stupid, and something stupid can sometimes be funny, and then get in the right circumstances, it ends up being funny. So I find it sort of easier to be sort of goofy and funny while improvising than to sort of portray real deep emotional sadness or drama, whatever it is. So yeah, I was allowed to let rip a couple of times and just keep the camera rolling while I don't know, all kinds of madness came out. I loved it. That movie's going to be a trip. I mean, it's meant to be released in July, end of July, but who knows what's happening now with all this. But,
Just the trailer looks amazing. Before I even realized it was them, I was excited.
It is a fun trailer.
I've actually heard actors say that they can improvise if they're speaking in their native accents, and that it's because you improvising, you want to be off the top of your head, and it's hard when you have to think about the translation. So was that taken into consideration, considering you get to use your real accent in this movie?
Yeah, I was so lucky there. Drake, he wrote it as Jack being Irish, and then we. I think there's maybe a version that he originally sent where it wasn't specific, really, you couldn't really tell, and then he was like I'm going to send you a new draft, and in the new draft it says like Jack talks about growing up in Northern Ireland or something. I was like, that's great, because it does make your life much easier, if particularly if it's like a general American or something. I'd probably shouldn't be too difficult or whatever, because I'm used to, I do that a lot. But if it's something like very specific, like I was doing like Kentucky or something, and you're really having to grapple around and think of what shape to make your mouth to get the sound out, then you couldn't improvise. I mean, that would be a nightmare.
Before we go, I want to remind everyone to look in the comments for information on SAG-AFTRA Foundation's COVID relief fund. And I'm just sort of asking people, in this very strange time, what are you sort of doing? Are there books you're reading or shows you're watching, or what's helping you through this time?
Trying to raise the kids.
That is a full-time job.
I mean, with 3 kids under 7, so it's we're homeschooling. This morning I was teaching mathematics, a bit of computers, PE. I mean, luckily for our eldest, teach PE. I mean, we kicked a ball around the garden for half an hour. But what's been nice about it is that, I was 3 days off starting a series in New York. I had my whole family in New York. We're renting this place in Brooklyn. It was all like, that's where our life was. Kids were going to school in Brooklyn, everything. And then this happened. Now we're all back here. So we're, and everyone's safety is paramount here. And it's the sort of unknown of, they've sort of put a date towards the end of the year when we'll go back, but who knows what's happening. But it means that without the immediacy of knowing exactly what I'm doing next, when I'm starting the next job, I have had this time, I think, where it's good to, I've been trying to put more energy into some other things, that other projects that I was sort of attached to that, have gone a bit quiet, or, I've just bought the rights to book with a producer that I've worked with before. And so we're developing that. I'm producing this other movie that I've been attached to for a while that sort of went quiet, and now we're trying to, package that and get that something that's ready to go. All these things that I actually just wouldn't be. I've written that within 6 days of being back in the UK. when this all started. I wrote a pilot for a series. I mean, this sort of productivity that I just do not have when you're filming, and when you're filming 5 days a week, and then you're coming home and you're dealing with your family, and you're looking after your kids the weekend, getting up early with them before you even go to work, and when you're shooting, you just don't have time to put that energy in. So in a way, it's been nice to try to focus on these other projects, so that's, it's been kind of good for that reason, I guess. But we don't need it to continue. It'd be great to get back. Be great to get back to some normality soon.
Are the kids doing distance learning, like on the computer?
They have, the schools send send lessons every morning, and it's kind of like, there's usually a little video made by their teacher saying, "Hey guys, morning, blah, blah." They do an assembly, there's a recorded assembly every morning, sometimes live. The teachers have gone into the school and they're doing a live assembly. And then there's they've sent, everyone's been posted out the maths books and everything, and we're working our way through, and there's a little bit of a blurb about how to get through the sums that are in front of them. I mean, thank God, if my kids were like teenagers, I'd be really struggling to cope with how to get through these classes. Luckily, my eldest is 6, so 65 minus 10 is probably the toughest thing I've had to face in the math class. So I'm doing all right.
Wait, do they need the computer now? Should they be in class? Oh, no, it's the evening where you are.
Right. Well, I'm about to run, and my wife has just made their dinner, and it's bath time in about 15 minutes, so I'm going to make that. But the computer, I mean, it's amazing that they do computer. My 6-year-old's doing computer programming, and doing
way.
Yeah, I mean, it's mad, man. Doing little coding. We're coding together. This character moves up here, and this one moves here, and turns out they've made it very easy for them to do, but it's incredible that they're even being taught to do that. So it's very cool.
Maybe you'll pick up some things along the way.
Maybe that's when they don't make movies and television anymore. I'll be a computer coder.
Well, I don't think it'll come to that. And I want to remind everyone to please check out Endings Beginnings now. You should be able to find it on most platforms. It's such a special movie. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking the time. We so appreciate it.